The Seattle Seahawks just took over the NFC, and a lot of people aren't happy about it. Sam Darnold straight up outplayed Matthew Stafford, and that moment when there was no challenge, yeah, it looked shady to a lot of fans. Now, the big question everyone's asking is, are the Seahawks truly built for greatness, or are they crossing the line to get there?
We know who's going to the Super Bowl from the AFC. That is the Patriots for the first time since 2019. But we also now know, Herm, who's going from the NFC. Seattle Rams, NFC Championship, and it's Seattle who gets the win. What stood out to you in that game?
Sam Darnold. This was a big-time game for him, playing against Matthew Stafford. You think about his journey. We were discussing it earlier before we were on. Minnesota had a good year, and then all of a sudden, they cast him away.
There were a couple times he was left for dead in his career.
Yes.
He was absolutely left for dead.
And it's a great story. It really is for Sam Darnold and Seattle Seahawks. It's just been amazing. And today he outplayed Matthew Stafford. There's no doubt. I mean, he was marvelous today, and they deserve to go. I mean, we talk about Seattle's defense a lot because they were very good, but Sam Darnold really has taken this team, especially offensively, and taken it to a different level.
How about this for Sam Darnold? And this is the third time they played the Rams this year, right? In the two previous matchups, he had 2 touchdowns and I believe 6 turnovers comparatively. This one, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and a season high in passing yards. What was it about the Rams defense he saw this time that he was able to exploit?
Well, he exploited that secondary, and that's been the Achilles heel in the last month for the Rams when you watch him play. It's been hard to watch at times because this secondary is they give up yards.
They're doing a lot of chasing.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of grabbing and holding, and it puts a lot of stress on the Rams offense, but giving credit to Sam Darnold and the way they played, they deserve to win today.
By the way, the last time Seattle and the Patriots were in the same Super Bowl, that was the Malcolm Butler game, by the way.
Oh, boy, here we go.
But this, you have, they're not new teams, obviously, and they've obviously had success in the postseason, but they've got coaches who've been there for a very short period of time, and all of a sudden, bam, they're in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Talk about the 2 jobs these respective coaches have done to get their teams to this point.
Well, they're both MVP candidates, and when you think about it. I mean,
the coaches are.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, when you think about the year Seattle had, and no one anticipated this from the New England Patriots now.
No, 100%.
Right?
100%.
I mean, this is almost like the Chicago Bears story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I anticipated this from Seattle, though.
No.
I mean, they got the number 1 seed in the NFC. No one's going to give them that either.
No.
Correct. And think about Seattle. They played in maybe the best division in football. They played in the NFC West. I mean, 3 teams go to the playoffs there. San Francisco, Seattle, obviously the Rams. So they were well suited because of what they had to go through in their division to get through the playoff.
And Cooper Kupp, kudos to him. You know, he really downplayed in his press conference this week the storyline arising from Cooper Kupp facing the team that had cut him, only team he played for. He had the season for the ages in 2021, Super Bowl MVP, although it should have been Aaron Donald. But he hadn't done much this year. It was his lowest output ever in a mostly full season of action. His prior career lows came in a year where I think he maybe played 8 or 10 games. So, you know, he's not as involved offensively as he used to be. And that's one of the reasons why the Rams moved on. They went not younger and cheaper. They went with someone older and more expensive because they just made the assessment that Davante Adams would do more for the offense than Cooper Kupp could at this point. And hey, look at what Davante Adams did this year. They were right about that. But Kupp stepped up. And he had 4 big moments, in my estimation, in the second half. Now, there was a drive after the Rams had cut the score to 24-20, and it's starting to tighten up a little bit after the disastrous muff punt that may be the thing that made the difference in the game. Seahawks get the short field, they score, but the Rams drove down and made it 24-20 after that, because 24-13, it's kind of feeling like night-night time. On that drive after the Rams cut it to 24-20, Kupp had big catch on 3rd and long, and he caught the touchdown that pushed the score to 31-20. So he had a big moment then, and then when it's 31-27 and they're trying to kill the clock, that catch on 3rd and 9. And a lot happened in the moment that Kupp caught the ball and got tackled by the sticks. Sean McVay called timeout and then decided he wanted to challenge the play. And it doesn't take high-level lip-reading skills to know what was going on. He's holding the red flag. He wanted to throw the red challenge flag after he had called timeout. And the officials told him he couldn't do that. And you can see him say, why not? And if he challenged And if he'd failed, he'd have been charged 2 timeouts in that spot. And you could argue, maybe he should have done it anyway. Because, man, it looked close. And I wanted to see frame by frame, was any part of Cooper Kupp's shins, knees, whatever, did anything hit before that last reach of the ball? I think it merited a closer look. And by calling timeout while he was apparently waiting to hear, and Sean Payton has told us in past PFT Live appearances that when it's clear that you need to throw the red flag, you hear 1,000 people in your headset. When it's not, it's crickets, and you got to make the decision. So he was waiting for that final input, and maybe it would have been upheld. But obviously it would have been a critical moment if it's not a first down in that spot. And another thing that wasn't discussed. Now, I think they got it right, but it highlights this very thin line between the normal act of completing a catch while you're on your feet, which of course requires possession of the ball 2 feet down and some act common to the game, but they focus on getting a third foot, even though there are other ways to do it. That's one way. If you're going to the ground, we all know, and we were reminded of it last Saturday in the Bills-Broncos playoff game. You got to maintain possession through going to the ground. Now, what was really going on there with Cooper Kupp? Because he caught it and he's being dragged down. Did he complete the process of making the catch and then get dragged down and become down by contact? That was the ruling on the field. And obviously, for that part of it, because there's 2 aspects that would have been subject to replay review, because when they review it, they look at everything. Did he get the first down? Did he complete the process of catching the pass? And Dean Blandino started down that path, but it was all kind of hectic and unclear what was going on. But it brings back into focus this idea of going to the ground, down by contact. And this was one of the points that we made in the aftermath of the Bills-Broncos game. You can't reconcile the interception on what would have been a Brandon Cooks catch with the interception that was overturned by replay review on December 7, when Aaron Rodgers caught a tip ball and was going to the ground and the ball came out and the Ravens ended up with possession. And the explanation given by the league, if you apply the explanation that was given to defend the decision to turn an interception into a catch, you apply that in other cases, maybe it's a catch. That's something we need clarity on. There was a report this week from the Washington Post that the NFL is not going to propose any changes to the catch rule. They think it's clear. And while the rule is arguably clear, and really, how would you change it? How would you improve it? Once you start tinkering with the language, you can create a whole giant mess. But the application and the interpretation and the explanations need to be more clear. And the one thing that I think we need to resolve is, when going to the ground, if you're down by contact, are you down when your knee hits, even if you lose possession? I think you're not, and I think it's not a catch. But that may have been embedded in the replay review that never happened in the Rams-Seahawks game because Sean McVay called the timeout and then was trying to throw the red flag. I have a feeling that that will be a talking point coming out of this game because that was a huge moment, and that was a great catch by Kupp. And then later he drew the holding penalty to get a fresh set of downs as the Seahawks were in the process of wrapping up the game. So big night from Cooper Kupp. Not on the stat sheet when you compare what he did to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Smith and Jigba ended up with 10 catches for 153 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 4 for 36 and a touchdown. But man, 3 of those catches were gigantic, and the holding penalty that he drew helped as well.
Seattle didn't just win the NFC, they took it by force. A 31-27 haymaker straight to the Rams' jaw. And across the league, everyone's asking the same thing. How? Because one moment didn't just feel off, it felt wrong. And here's the kicker. It wasn't the defense that shocked people. It was the guy everyone left for dead. Sam Darnold, written off and thrown away, just outdueled Matthew Stafford in the biggest game of his career. Third meeting with the Rams this season, and he completely flipped the narrative like the ultimate plot twist. But the numbers, they tell the real story, and it's ugly. In those first 2 matchups, Darnold threw 2 touchdowns and coughed up 6 turnovers. This time, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, season-high passing yards. That's not just getting better. That's a straight-up hostile takeover. And the Rams' secondary didn't just crack under pressure, it shattered. Now here's where it gets messy. Late in the game, 3rd and 9, Cooper Kupp makes the grab. The chains are moving, and then chaos. Timeout gets called, and suddenly the no-challenge moment hits like a slammed door with no way out. People saw it and immediately thought one thing: rigged. And Kupp, he didn't fade into the background, he showed up when it hurt the most. The stat line says 4 catches, 36 yards, 1 TD, but don't let that fool you. Every single one of those grabs was surgical. Meanwhile, Jackson Smith-Njigba absolutely torched him. 10 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown. And while the NFC's still sorting through the wreckage, the AFC's already crowned its next contender, or its next villain. From the AFC, it's the Patriots, back in the Super Bowl for the first time since 2019, after grinding out a 10-7 win. So now it's Seattle versus New England all over again. All eyes are on the Super Bowl now. Will that same strategy work on the biggest stage, or is Seattle about to get exposed?